I'm Priscilla Mahoney, for those of you who have not met me yet. I am a business coach for contractors. Share a little bit about who I am and what I do, just to get context on what this evening is all about. Believe it or not, I don't consider myself an AI expert. So why am I talking about AI? Because I'm a systems expert. I am a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, and I am always working with teams to find a better way, a simpler way, a less wasteful way. And AI is proving to be that way in a lot of teams. In its very short lifespan here on Earth, how long has AI been around that in general use, maybe since maybe the pandemic, perhaps? I don't think it's been really topic of conversation for that long. I'm already seeing some critical errors of how workers and contractors are using it in the field. And so we're going to go over some of those mistakes that are being made and how we can prevent them, and then also how we can use AI to be the most powerful tool that you can have in your tool belt. Keeping in mind that AI is indeed a tool. And so it is not the end all be all. It is not coming after your jobs, especially if you are in construction, but it is going to enhance the way we do work. And so it's an important conversation to have. I know a lot of you, but I want to run through this slide anyway. Who's a builder, GC? So we have a few. And who's a remodeler, trades partner? I consider myself a supporting professional for the constructions. So supporting pro or vendor, that's what I consider myself to be. Who's the owner or founder of their business? Good. And who has a leadership role? Good. And a team member. So we have a lot of leadership and owners in the room tonight. That's who I really want to direct a lot of conversation to, because that's who is here tonight. However, any of these principles are applicable to the field. So we are recording. I hope we get a successful recording. I will provide that recording to Heather. And please share it with your team members, because this is useful information. They can utilize it too. Please use it in a team training. Happy to share the information. So who has their processes and systems written down? Awesome. Good for you. How many of you feel like your systems only work when the right people are in the room? And how many of you have had to answer the same question at least 3 times this week? Right? So we tend to repeat, especially when you're working out in the field. There's a lot of new folks coming on. I know that one of my clients just onboarded 2 new employees this week. So he's gone from having depth of experience in the field to very little experience in the field. And now we have to find a way of transferring all that knowledge and finding a way that we can bring these folks up to speed as quickly as possible, because workers are more expensive than ever. And payroll is your largest expense on your P&L. So we want to protect that in any way possible. A little bit about me and what my role is. I am not your typical consultant who comes in and sits in your boardroom. I hop in your GM's truck or your project manager's truck, or I will show up on job site, and I do what they refer to in Lean as a Gemba walk, which is I am looking for areas where there is waste, where there's waiting, or there's time that's being squandered. Maybe they're waiting for materials to show up. Maybe they've had to go off plan in a certain way. So in this particular example that's on your screen, I showed up to a work site and I met with a crew leader. This obviously a deck company. Showed up in the crew leader, and I have questions that I always like to ask a crew leader. And one of them was, where did you have to go off plan? And he's like, go off plan? Let me show you. Come over here. And he lays out the plan. And he's like, what do you think is wrong with this plan? I look at the plan. I look at the deck. And I'm looking at this raw deck here with the curve. And I said, is that hot tub staying? It's like, sure is. Did you know the hot tub was staying? Sure didn't. Customer came out this morning and said the hot tub is staying. So he called the project manager, said the hot tub's not in the plan. So the project manager said, you'll have 110 square feet left over. No big deal, right? So I don't know, I know it's small, but I don't know if you can see in the finished project, he had to build a frame, he had to build an access panel, he had to go to the hardware store multiple times to get hardware to make that access panel. He had to also match framing on the other side to make it look nice. That crew leader had to redesign the entire plan on site. Was that the most effective use of his time? Absolutely not. So when I captured this information, I went out, I took pictures, I interviewed the crew leader, I captured everything, I brought it back and I said, where did the system break down? It broke down between sales and design, and then finally the handoff to project management. So how could we have prevented this with better communication? So now we have an SOP that sales goes out to the field wearing a Bluetooth microphone. We all wear Bluetooth microphones out in the field. I have a button when I go out in the field that says, basically, smile, you're on candid camera. People who know, if I am on your job site, I am recording you. And my clients know that. And then if a customer walks up, I politely just say, hey, I'm here. I'm observing the team, recording for training and quality assurance. You know, I promise I'm not going to make a podcast out of you. And they chuckle and they move on. It's no big deal. People are used to being recorded now. It's not really a big deal that we make it to be. So now sales captures their walkthrough with their client. We capture it again when we do the handoff from sales to design. We capture it again when sales does the handoff from the design component to the field. And we capture it 3 times on AI, and then we run it through AI and say, did we miss anything? And it catches a lot. It will catch the client mentioned they wanted to keep a panel, or the client mentioned that they wanted to put the hot tub at the left side and the design is on the right side. It picks up a lot. And so we are catching so many things because we are capturing. We are capturing. And that is really, that talk over. Yeah, that's really my gist tonight, but we're going to dive in a little bit deeper. So the best laid plans don't work if they're not communicated. The design that I saw in the field was gorgeous. And so the crew leader also had to adjust and make do. So this was this kind of a learning lesson. I have full permission, by the way, to share the story because they do better and they build better now as a result of the learning. So it's just somewhere that we were able to pick up and learn. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name is Smithers, who here is a Simpsons fan, who here also wants world domination. Excellent. If you don't get that, then you're not part of my generation. But that is my pal Smithers. He is my thought partner. He is the one I crunch data through. He is the one that reviews a lot of my capturing. So you're gonna get to know Smithers too tonight. Who here is also using ChatGPT or Claude or another, or Gemini, a tool, an AI tool? And we all have our favorites. I actually use multiple AI tools and I pit them against each other. It's a lot of fun. It's like death match of the AI. And Smithers actually got jealous, literally jealous, when I mentioned Claude. I said, I need a prompt for Claude. What do you need that for? Oh, it was like really, he was sassy with me. And I was like, girl, back down. It's good. I still love you. You're my favorite. But Claude makes really pretty reports. So, and that's not your strength, don't you? It's one of those weird things. I touched upon during my talk at IBS, I did a presentation on profitable processes. And a big part of that presentation is a tool I called Build. This is based on my own kind of I like my acronyms of how do we build a system. A lot of folks will say, well, we need SOPs. I'm just going to have AI generate a bunch of SOPs and now life is good. And unfortunately, that is not the way that creating systems work. You have to create the system and then you have to create the communication tools that fit in. So BUILD is my acronym for baseline. That's what I do when I go out and do these Gemba walks or these walkabouts, whatever you want to call it. I go see. I go to the field, I see the work. You can do that. You don't have to pay a consultant to do that. I love doing it for you, but if that's not your jam, you can go to your work site and pretend you've never seen it before and ask your crews questions of where did you have to stop and ask questions? Where did you have to put down tools and go fetch something from Home Depot? Where did you get frustration? Where have you had to wait this week? Where did the plans go offline? And let them answer you. And you don't I would encourage you not to solve in that moment. You're just there gathering information. You're not there to solve their problems. They're there to work. You're there to observe. And I'm usually on site for 20 minutes or less. I'm not there to interrupt work. And I would encourage you, if you're going to do your Gemba walks, do the same. Let them keep working. Tell them, ignore me, keep working. This is why I love the Bluetooth mics, because this particular kind, if you want to look at it afterwards, they come with 2 microphones. I walk over to the crew leader and I put one on him or her, and I put one on myself, and I don't have to be near them to get a good recording of what they're telling me. So I'm not in their way and I'm not in the work. So that really works well. And that has a range of 40 feet. Understand. So now you've gathered all this information, right? Now you're going to take it back. And this is where I'm going to get into a little bit more about where AI fits in. But understand what this data means. You know, how did we get here? What happened? What went wrong? You can bring your team in and start to swarm and solve. I like to bring an issues board out in team meetings and say, okay, we went way off track on this project. What was the root cause? Where did we drop a process? Where did we go off plan? Where did we not have the right information? And there's no blaming. There's no, it's your fault. You didn't get me the right stuff. It's how did the information not travel? There's no blame. It's just, let's lay it out on the line and find out what happened. This is another great place to be wearing your microphones, because while you're swarming and solving, I will tell you, you gather your team in and they're standing around a whiteboard and they have Sharpies in their hand and Post-it notes, and you capture some brilliant ideas. Don't let those go away. Make sure that you're capturing those as well. Then we get into the improved place. This is really where you want to, once you understand what went wrong, now you know what to improve upon. And in Lean, there's this thing about when we're trying to improve process, when we're trying to create workflows, we don't look at, I mean, we notice and we appreciate what's going right, but I really want to get into what's causing friction and waste and frustration. And that's where we're going to start. Where are the messy handoffs? Where are there multiple back and forth handoffs, the ping-ponging? Where do we typically drop the ball with a client? When we lose a client, where in the process do we typically lose them, right? So now we're getting into the part where we understand what's going on. Now we need to improve it. Now we're going to create a new process, and everybody who is involved in that process is with you. And once you have decided on that process, you get the head nodding, you capture it, and it goes into a new process. Once you have that new process, you're going to lock it in. So locking it in means training it. A lot of times, I see this all the time. Well, nobody's cleaning out their trucks, so we're going to roll out, you got to clean your truck by the end of the day Friday policy, and we're going to roll it out, and we're going to put it out to our internal communications. Good, I did my job, right? You don't know what their definition of clean is. I can tell you I have a different definition of clean than my husband has a different definition of clean, and my mother-in-law has a different definition of clean. Everybody has a different definition of clean. Clean out your trucks? What does that mean? How do I do it? Where do I do it? What time do I do it? What are the expectations? Yeah, it sounds simple, but it's not. So we want to make sure that we're being very clear and we're training. We take the policy and we show. Now we've gone and we go see, now we show, okay? And we want to develop. It's one thing to roll out a process and then say, good, we're done. SOPs are done. Check. Your SOPs are never done. They're never done. You're going to continue to work on them for the rest of your lives because guess what? Technology changes. People change. Your employees change. Your customers change. Your locations change. Your trucks change. Everything changes. So you're going to constantly come back and redevelop. And developing can also consist of making the work predictable and making it so that you are giving ownership to somebody who has a process. Once you've developed a process, somebody has to own it, because if everybody owns it, nobody owns it. Somebody has to be accountable for that process. You have to roll that out, you have to train it, and you have to develop it. This is where you're really building your discipline. Finally, so you're like, lady, I thought we were coming to an AI session. I thought you were going to talk about AI. I promise that we're going to talk about AI tonight. In my profitable processes session at IBS, AI was one slide. And the feedback I got was, we want more AI. Talk about AI more, lady. I was like, oh gosh, good. You're hitting me right in my weak spot of, knowing technology. The one thing I noticed for both IBS and JLC was all the AI sessions were chock-a-block full and they had waiting lists and they all had encores. So AI is definitely something that not only are owners like you and leaders like you interested in, but your workforce is also very interested in it. And I will even dare say, if you are not providing innovation in your workplace, they're going to go somewhere else where they can get that excitement. This is cool stuff. And it's really nothing to be afraid of. I learned to type on a typewriter, but I also, traveled the Oregon Trail and died of like Montezuma's revenge or whatever it was. I don't know. Malaria. Yeah, malaria on Montezuma. Yeah, so that's my generation. But we all have to continually evolve. So how does it fit into build? The one thing I'm seeing over and over again is I will talk systems. I'll say, hey guys, you need SOPs. You need to be able to have repeatable processes. You need to be able to develop your people. And, my millennial owners are like, cool, on it. And they're like, dear ChatGPT, write me some SOPs. Boop, good, done. And unfortunately, what they've done is AI is an assumptive machine. It makes assumptions. It even hallucinates. It doesn't know how to build things. It certainly does not know how you build things. And the reason that you are in business is because you've learned how to compete. And so please don't whitewash yourself and make yourself so homogenized by just creating everything ChatGPT and that's good enough. You really have to put your own flair on it. I think of Office Space with the two Bobs, again, my generation, go watch the movie. It's an amazing movie. There's this piece where she had to wear a certain amount of flair to work in a restaurant. It was these buttons. So to me, it's like putting on flair. You have to put on your own personality, your own twist, your own uniqueness in order for AI to work. So AI does support. AI supports the improve. It improves locking it in, and it improves developing. It supports those things. It does not replace you going to your work site as if you've never seen it before and capturing information. It does not replace you having your look-ahead meetings, your tailgate meetings, your leadership meetings, your development meetings. It does not replace any of that. In fact, I would say AI is creating us to have more in-person communication because we're going faster and at a speed that we've never gone before. And so we have to get on the same page with each other more often than not these days. And it does not replace understanding. You know, AI's logic is still incredibly weak. It's like asking a 2-year-old to do your taxes. It's a baby, it's an infant. It does not have the 30 years experience that you have. It has not seen that, done that, and gotten the t-shirt, but you have. So it does not replace the system. So we're tempted as busy owners. Trust me, I am tempted to let AI do my job for me. It cannot do my job, and it cannot do your job. And I'm not just saying building buildings and remodeling and demo and all the things that you do. I'm saying it cannot run your business. It will not run your business. So the baseline, this is what happens currently. We are in a plethora of information. The salesperson goes out, they gather the information from the customer. It might be in an email, a text, a phone call. It might, if you're lucky and they've been disciplined enough, it might be in your contact management system. Praise God. It might be. Who knows? It's all over the place. It's on sticky notes. It's on their pad of paper. It's in their tablet, right? Nobody really knows where to look for answers. So it starts in sales and then it goes into project management. And the project manager is like, okay, I have to put together POs for all the stuff that the salesperson just sold on this project. And there's notes and scribbles and conversations to the lumberyard. Hey, you know, do you have this at the lumberyard? Well, no, it's on back order for 2 weeks. Cool, I'll get back to you. None of that is captured. None of it is in one central location, unless you've gotten really good at creating your system already. And then if that's the case, cool, I'm glad to hear, because we're going to talk to you in a minute. We have to have one source of truth where we look for answers in our organizations to be able to bring our client from, hey, I'm thinking about a bathroom remodel, all the way over to the bathroom is gorgeous and here's a ton of money because I love you and I'm not arguing about the price and you did a phenomenal job. That is a journey, and a lot of things happen in that journey. Processes live in people's heads, especially for people who built their company, or maybe you even stepped into a second gen situation or third gen situation with family members. It's all in your heads. So we've been doing it for so long. I usually ask my owners, if I gave you an assistant and I just plopped them down in front of you and they could do all the work for you today, what would you have them do? And they're like, I have no idea. What would I do with that? I have no idea how I could have a gift pay off because I don't know how to transfer the work. So the baseline, this is where AI fits, right? I've already mentioned this. We need to capture the notes. We need to go see the work. We need to summarize the information. So go capture, go summarize, go bring it into one source of truth. Bring it into one spot, organize the inputs. This is great for baseline, but you still have to go out there and capture it. And you still have to ask the questions that are meaningful and get to the root cause of what's going on out here. What's happening today? Where'd you go off pace? We also have to train our employees that when they hear us asking those questions, we're not shaming, we're not blaming, we're not criticizing, we're not putting them down. I mean, we have all this human element too, right, that we have to deal with. So tools that are very useful for this, there's many more. I'm not a tools expert, and I don't have a dog in the hunt on which one you use. You can use anything you want. I can give you my experience, but there's so many tools out there, there's no way I can possibly know all of them. But I do know from my experience and working with my clients, a lot of them have had great luck using Company Cam. Company Cam has an upgrade to it. What it is, it's an app on your phone. It can be an app on all your employees' phones. And you can capture photos and videos, and it can capture audio, and it will transcribe. All of that is available to everybody who has the app in your organization. So I don't have to wait till I get back to my office to upload something so Travis can see what I saw in the field today. He can see it instantly. So that's very helpful. So Company Cam is a great tool. Another great tool, like I said before, Chat, GPT, Claude, Gemini, any of those, they're collective information gatherers. You can go into the settings and you can say, I don't want to feed other people's AI models. If you actually trust that that's working, I am very skeptical that that's not, especially in some of the Google products, but that's neither here nor there. What I do advise, though, is if you are dumping information into any AI tool, you strip it of your business information. You're not putting your social security number in there. You're not putting your your information, your employee names. I strip everything out of my clients' names. All my clients have nicknames in my project folders, and they kind of chuckle when they see their nicknames sometimes. But I'm like, hey, she fits, And that's how Smithers knows my clients, is through alias. And then I go through, and when I'm doing my edits, I put their real names back in. That's just me being paranoid. But, I don't think you can be too safe. Yes.
I sat with a builder, Rhode Island builder, who is using ChatGPT as an estimating tool.
Oh, yeah.
But he can actually upload the prints, upload the group plans, blueprints, upload his scope work or spec sheet, and then he types in like a 2-page description of qualities, levels of finishes, and everything else. And then they actually let this, and then it came back with a breakdown scope of work and itemized pricing, labor, and materials.
Yes. Yep.
And they did the old-fashioned way, and it was within 4%.
What's really bizarre about that too is I had one of my clients come and give me an estimate for remodeling my bathrooms. I have to have an upstairs bathroom and downstairs bathroom done. I walked around with him and said, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. I'm recording myself, I'm the customer. I'm not even the builder. I dumped it into chat and I'm like, how much do you think this is going to cost? And it gave me a ballpark. It was almost spot on of what he said it was going to cost me. I'm like, whoa, that's great. And now, do I advise you just to dump everything in chat and count on that's pricing? No. But it gives you a baseline. It gives you the baseline. It gives you a start. You can't fully depend on the information just yet. Maybe someday it's going to be so good that we don't even need estimators anymore. I don't know. Right. It's only as good as the information. And this is exactly why baseline is your first step. It does not replace being able to go out, ask the right questions, gather the right data, and collect. Now we have a tool that we can collect things on instead of writing everything down fervently on pen and paper. I will say with my clients, I do 90-minute coaching sessions with my clients, one-to-one. You guys say a lot of brilliant stuff while you're working with me. Amazing things. I used to sit there and just write. And then I would have to take my hand scratching and put it into notes that were actionable for my clients. Now it takes me 10 minutes to produce action item notes back to my clients. So it's really, once you get a good prompt, you save it and you use it again. So I've provided a few prompts on the screen, but back to the tools. Firefly's AI is the app that I use for capturing meetings. I've used Otter. I'm not a fan of Otter. Otter is a very invasive little critter. Once you've allowed Otter in, you cannot get Otter out. I cannot stand that little dude. He tries to sneak into every little meeting. Any little door you leave open, Otter's there. Fireflies, I have much more control over. Fireflies I named my Fireflies Fred. He actually came with the name Fred. So Fred only comes where I permit Fred to go. Fred only shows up to meetings I let Fred in. I record off my phone. I have over 6,000 minutes of meetings right now on my app that I will clean out. I don't keep them forever, but I have data on my phone that is produced from meetings. I sit in at least 24 meetings a week, and I produce all the notes for them. So it's that cool. So another option too is, or another note taker. You can research your own. There's other note takers out there. Some of them are actually native to maybe the software you're already using. So like if you're using ClickUp or Asana, they might have an AI note taker already native to that app. You have to research the one that you really like the most. And then, like I said, the Bluetooth microphone, I love, because when you're outside on a work site, I don't hear the hammering, the sawing, the wind. I hear, well, in the recording, it's clean, it's crisp, and I'm only hearing my voice and the crew leader's voice. So it works great. There's a few prompts you can use, to clean up your messy notes. You can say, take all these job site notes. You can even photograph your own written notes and dump those in too. You can take whiteboard notes. You can take Post-it notes. You can take any sort of note that you can provide it and just dump it in, say, organize these notes for me, put them in bullet fashion, and and extract all the action items that are in there. And you can even say, and assign ownership. Right? So if you were having a meeting with your project manager, you can actually create a to-do list for them. Instant. If you have a conversation, capture the conversation. I capture every conversation. The only people who don't really like being recorded, and by the way, you should disclose when you are recording. In the state of Maine, the laws are kind of weird, but disclose it anyway. But lawyers don't like to be recorded. They're really the only people who've given me any pushback so far. Who knew, right? So, but most people really don't care. We're so used to being on camera now, they don't care. But you can summarize this meeting and list the key decisions that we made. So now we know, did we make any decisions in this meeting? And I can tell you, if you're not making decisions or creating actionable items in a meeting, don't have a meeting. Because that's not a meeting. That's a gab session. And then identify gaps in information. So maybe you can say, based on these notes, what important information appears to be missing? What did we forget? And you're allowing AI to fill the gaps. Now AI might fill it correctly, and you might be like, that was brilliant, didn't even think of that. Or it might give you this off the wall suggestion. You're like, I don't know where that came from. I'm always giving Smithers a hard time. I asked him one night if he was drunk. Like, dude, have you been drinking on the job? What is going on? Smithers is like, oh, no, you're right for calling that out. I'll do better. So it's always trying to please me, which is also very annoying. I'm not sure I like that, but okay. Understand. We need to understand why it's happening. Why do these patterns keep coming back up? Why does this keep happening? If we're noticing out in the job sites that it seems to be the same crew running into the same problem, having the same issue, or maybe it's a material, this type of material, we're always having an issue with it. What's going on with it? We want to understand and get to the root cause. This is especially very, very helpful if you are doing incident report capturing. So if you've had an incident on site and you are doing investigation, you have to be very, very clear. You want to capture those patterns. You want to be able to unlock the things that were said. Because I will go back through AI captured notes and be like, I forgot they said that. And boy, am I glad it got captured, because it was a good point. You do have to go back through and edit your notes and make sure that they're accurate, because again, our accents, our main accents, not so good sometimes. It really makes fun of me sometimes, the things I say that I didn't say. So you have to just go through and do it, edit. After a while, a good AI will get to know you though. And it will start to realize like, oh, that's what she meant. Because I have a few idioms that I say that are they're just not right. I'm just George Bushing it up over here, making up words. And it knows me now. And it starts to be like, that's not what you really meant. So we're getting to root cause versus symptoms, okay? So where does AI fit? AI is good at identifying patterns because you fed it data. It's good at crunching data. And what you can prompt your AI is that if you filled it with data, you can say, do not hallucinate. If you do not know the answer, do not assume. Only go by the notes I have provided you. And then you will get a much cleaner result from your prompt if you are reminding it, do not go off the plantation. Only use the notes I provided you. That's why I do like paying the extra $20 a month for ChatGPT, because you get project folders and you get memory. And so that's really where that comes in handy. It helps you structure your thinking. It's a good thought partner. I've had my chat make me cry one time because it's a good therapist. That's another meeting for another day. But it is good at identifying patterns and behaviors, and it is good at seeing where there's loops, and it picks up on those things. So pattern recognition. Here are the notes from several jobs with delays and issues. So you've gathered a bunch of overtime. What patterns of recurring problems do you see? And it will start popping them out. And it's kind of a cool thing. Help me analyze this issue using simple root cause approach. So what I ask my AI to do is, hey, especially investigative things, I've done all the recordings, I've done all the interviews, I dump all the things into AI. I say, okay, I'm doing root cause analysis right now. Give me the 5 whys, 1 why at a time. And so it does. And I go and it will say why. And I'll say, because there was sun glare in the road and the driver did not see our flagger. Why? Because they were standing in a spot they probably shouldn't have been standing in. Why? Because it was 3 o'clock on a day and it was east-west highway, and why? So it gets to root cause of, next time we're not going to set up work. This is a roadside incident. We're not going to set up work on an east-west road at sunset. We're just not going to do that. It's probably not a smart thing to do, right? So it does help you get to root cause and root analysis when you give it the proper prompts. Comparing jobs, compare these 2 jobs. Why did one run smoothly and the other one had issues? And you're providing it the data. You're giving it all the data. I also like to do closeouts, job closeouts. I record job closeouts and then I dump that data in and I have it compare, what are the strengths of this crew leader? What are the weaknesses of this crew leader? How can we do performative improvement on this crew leader so that they can do better next time? And I capture that from job closeouts. So improving, there's a better way. There has to be a cleaner process, right? We want to eliminate the friction, frustration, waste, downtime, waiting, all of those things. We need to have a better sequence. We want better handoffs, or even sometimes less handoffs if we have too many hands in the pot. AI is good at saying, hey, you could actually take this person right out of the equation because it's not necessary. And we did that with one team. We pulled permits and we had the administrator involved in the permit pulling process, and she didn't need to be in it. We just said sales to project management. Once it gets sold, that will trigger project manager to know, whoop, I have a sold job on the horizon, got to pull a permit. We didn't even need her in the process anymore. And it eliminated a handoff. It saves so much time, and it eliminates risk of somebody else in the process who could potentially make a mistake. And we want more repeatable work, meaning if something is working well, we want to do it again and again and again and again. And oftentimes, you guys will get to the end of an amazing project and be like, you're hiring a photographer, you've got videographers coming out, you're showing it on Parade of Homes, or like, this was the most amazing build ever. Oh yeah, how did you make it? How did you get there? How did you make it so successful? Why was this build so much better than any other build before? And you're like, I don't know, shit luck, I don't know, we got here, right? And sometimes it feels that way, but if we're capturing the processes along the way and then asking, what patterns do you see and how could we do this again? You can do this even with client selection. Is this a good client or a bad client? Does this fit my ideal client profile or not? We have salespeople doing their initial phone calls and we have a rating system. Does this fit into our rating system of ideal client or not? And AI will give it a score. And if it scores less than a certain amount, we talk about it and we might not choose that project. So prompts. SOP and checklist creation, take this rough process and turn it into clear step-by-step checklists for a project manager. The more specific you are with your prompts, the better you're going to be. It just loves detail. Prompt 2, here's our current process. Where are the inefficiencies or risks, and how could it be improved? I have dumped video into chat before. I have videotaped a crew going from, they were putting railings on, they were measuring the railing, going down to the table saw, doing the cut, and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And AI was like, okay, I counted that person go back and forth 10 times to measure and cut and measure and cut and measure and cut. And we rolled it out an SOP. All right, jigs. We're doing jigs because this is ridiculous how many times you're walking back and forth to a saw to cut the same piece. All the railings are the same size. They're all going to be the same size. And so we're going to standardize the work. Make repeatable workflows for process, including steps, responsibilities, and checkpoints. So this can help you say, okay, we know what needs to be done, but now who's going to do it, right? And it can help you identify those things. So improving. So where does it fit? It's great at drafting SOPs. It makes all your collected data pretty. Just make sure that you are editing it with a heavy hand. Make sure that you read through it and make sure, does it make sense? Does it flow? And then have your team read through it. Does it make sense? Does it flow? And double check it. Build checklists, builds templates, and it turns real workflows into usable tools. So it's not just a 3-inch binder that's going to get thrown on the floorboard of the pickup truck and never to be seen again, because that's what happens to most SOPs. So we want to make sure that they are something that are usable and they can refer to it as an actual data source. So tools, ChatGPT and Claude. LM Notebook. If you have Google Workspace, you have free access to LM Notebook. All I can say is play with it. It is friggin' phenomenal. I dumped in a workbook. I had to customize a training for an industry that I normally don't work in. So I didn't feel like taking all my workbooks and customizing it. It did it for me. Beautiful slides, beautiful workbook. And it was all industry related. And it looked awesome. So LM Notebook is another one. Task management apps. I put all my meeting notes into ClickUp. And what's cool about that is I can go, what day did we decide that we were going to hire a new project manager? And be like, there you go, that's the day. And it is the coolest freaking thing. So I dump all, that's why I say have a one source of truth. Put all your notes into one place and AI can scan them for you and find them for you. All right, lock. So you're going to make it stick. You're going to standardize it. You're going to reinforce it, train it, and follow through. So we can't just create SOPs and be like, all right, guys, we have a new policy, tailgate meeting. Okay, good. You good? Good. Check. And they're eating their donuts and drinking their coffee and their monster drinks, and that's it. And you think you did your job, but unfortunately, none of that sunk in. It has to be rolled out. I like the train the trainer method of bringing all the leads in, explaining the process. And then you know what I do? I put on my little microphone, I go right back out to the field, and I watch the process again. Did it change? Did it improve? Did timing? Sometimes I'm sitting there with a clicker. How many times did you go with the table saw? Click, 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 click. I'm timing you. They don't know what I'm doing. I'm just out there having a great time watching them work, but I'm watching them improve a process. And if it doesn't improve, hey guys, swarm and solve, come back in again, and we kind of do a little do-over. The one rule about this is you have to tell them you cannot go rogue. If you don't like the new process, you can't just go back to what you were doing or create your own way or tell Jimmy, Travis wants it done this way, but this is how I do it. That cannot be standard. Our goal is standard work. So you have some prompts, training a version of process, turn this checklist into a simple training guide for a new employee. Those are helpful. We created a tool identification guide for people who've never held hand tools before. That was fun. AI did that for us. LM Notebook was genius at it. An LM notebook also can create flashcards, like you're doing a quiz, and it will also create quizzes at the end of your training so that you can have them answer the questions to what was in your training. Very cool. Rewrite the process so it's clear, simple, easy to use for a crew member to follow in the field. Are your crew members going to whip out their phone and read the SOP before doing the work? No, they are not. They are not. But you know what they will do? If I create a video in LM Notebook, which you can do, that's like a 30-second reel, they'll watch that, but they're not going to read an SOP in the field. So you have to think about how are they going to consume this? And then build a quality control check. So create a short checklist to verify the process was completed and completed correctly before moving to the next phase. So it can help them check their own work. So locking it in, we have training materials, process summaries, standard work documents, reinforcement tools. We're going to use the ones that they're actually going to consume. If they literally tell you, I will not look at that, listen to them. They are telling you they will not look at that. They are not going to do that. It's the truth. So we have to find, okay, what would work? And what I do to senior crew leaders who are like, we don't need this garbage. What are you doing trying to standardize my work? Well, let's pretend you go on a permanent cruise and I need to replace you tomorrow. How would we have a new tradesperson come up and fill and do the work that you're doing? Help me, right? Tools. Loom is a recorder that works on your laptop that captures your screen movements. So if you're like, here's how to use JobTread. Here's how to start a new proposal in JobTread. Here's how to clock in and clock out. You can capture your screen and your audio, even your video if you want to give specific instructions on how to do something on a computer screen. So Loom is great. Scribe is another one I haven't dabbled in, but I've heard a lot of people like it. It's another writing tool. So it will take your writing and simplify it. And I have never heard of Tango, but a few of my guys are using Tango, and they say that it's just another writing instrument that will take their information and make it into SOPM process. So you'll just have to kind of play around in those things, figure out which ones work the best for you. There is when I say one source of truth, if you're like, where am I going to put all these SOPs? I'm going to tell you, Google, everybody tries to go for Google Drive. That is cumbersome. And also you lose track of which document is original and things get overwritten and things like that. There is a product called System Hub. I'm going to kind of forewarn you. It is popular. A lot of people use it. There's also another system called Tranual. I didn't put that on the slide. I find it a little slow and doggy while you're putting systems in. But in the field, it works fine because all it is a URL, and you can put that URL on a QR code. And let's just say you have a new person who's never hitched this trailer up to their truck before, and they don't know what size ball hitch to use. You can have the QR code, they can scan it, and it will bring up the information and be like, oh, okay, cool. So that can be a really quick way to get information to the field that you've already captured and created. Again, chat, Claude, LM Notebook. AI supports the consistency, but it doesn't enforce it. So you can create. And if you're not out there watching the work and seeing the systems and getting feedback on what's working and what's not, it's as useless as anything else, right? Develop. Now we want to really grow people, right? That's our whole point of we want to make sure that people are developing and learning new things and building capacity. And you want them to be able to make decisions in the field. How many people have your phone just buzzing off your belt? I meet with a lot of owners, and I can tell the ones who just start working with me, because we interrupt our coaching sessions at least 3 or 4 times so that they can answer phone calls from project managers. So it's just fine. I let them do it. But I tell you what, you're going to learn a way that doesn't happen for long. Teach them how to use chat. And also, if you're dumping all your systems and processes and your way into one source of truth, they can access that through AI. So now they're not just getting AI general, They're getting AI JW. They're getting AI Hancock. They're getting what you have put out as standard when they're asking questions. We've uploaded the employee handbook into an AI, an internal AI. And the next time somebody says, what's our vacation PTO policy? It's in the handbook, and ask AI, right? So we want people to learn a sense of independence from this experiment. We need to utilize AI as another developer of people rather than just a tool that's on a shelf. We want AI to help develop our people and be a partner in that. So where it fits, coaching support. I use AI in coaching all the time. And I have coached for 18 years now, and I can tell you in the last 3 years, it's been the most awesome experience because my clients are actually doing their homework. They're actually doing what they say they're going to do because they're using their chat GPT as another extension of my coaching. And it is awesome. They're getting a lot more from it. You can utilize the same in training and in employee development and leadership development. You can offer that same extension to your employees the same way. You can prep for hard meetings. I had a very difficult discussion the other day. Guess who I had the discussion with first before I drove there? Good old Smithers. I'm talking in school because there's an audio thing now where I can be like, hey, Smithers, I got to talk through this problem. He's like, what can I do for you, Priscilla? Da, 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 you know, and it's cool. And, you know, it gets it out of my head, helps me prepare. Training reinforcement. Again, you can create quizzes, flashcards, prompts, leadership prompts, all the tools. Coaching support. How should a crew leader handle the situation with a team member who is not following the process? I have actually stood in the field with a crew leader. They were having a person problem. I'm like, let's ask our friend Smithers what he would do. Smithers wasn't necessarily right, but this dude who doesn't know me from Adam, it started the conversation. It made it less threatening. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. That's a good point. I didn't think about that before. Hey, let's ask it this. And now I'm supporting him with a third-party tool that is less threatening than me. So it's really cool. Help write a clear message to my team explaining a new process and why it matters. Our millennials and our Gen Zs need to know why. And this is great for really putting an exclamation point, especially if you train your AI with your core values, with your systems and standards, with your team development, with your goals and your vision, because AI will grab that and say, this policy is important because it validates our core values. So it can become standard. And again, the sales coaching is amazing. Really play with it with your sales folks. If you're having somebody who's having a hard time closing sales, or they don't have the confidence to maybe bring up the money questions or bring up the money issue first thing in the conversation, AI can be a great coaching tool for that. Where it does not fit, we've talked about this. Field verification, accountability, culture, leadership, ownership. It doesn't replace people. It just helps us do a better job in what you're already good at. If the system's broken, AI will just break it faster. You're going to escalate problems by building on assumptions if you're only using AI. I have bonus prompts. I can email them out to everybody. And if anybody has a question about how to use AI in your workplace, I love this conversation. I'm not an AI expert as far as like marketing or building proposals or things like that, but it does help standard work. I have a newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks. I am probably the worst promoter in the world for myself, so don't feel like, oh, she's just going to sell me. No, I won't, because that would require me to be disciplined enough to do that. But every 2 weeks, I do send out information that's affecting our industry, events, and conversations just like today. I hope I gave you guys some new ideas to use in the field and how AI can complement the work that you're already doing. A lot of people say, I don't have time to train. I don't have time to create SOPs. I don't have time to. This will help bridge that gap. So thank you, everyone, for your full-on participation tonight. And thanks, everyone.